So, anyways, I was doing a kind of a guesswork um, analysis on Burger King because I noticed their food. You know, I used to not go to Burger King a lot because I just preferred other places because like once you've had food that's not frozen and like worked in a restaurant where they're so obsessed of like clean everything, you don't really go to places like Burger King or McDonald's that often. Like McDonald's, they used to serve cold fries. They used to serve cold cheese. Not that cold cheese is a bad thing. I mean, I don't see. I mean, cold cheese ain't bad. It's just that when you cook it, all the bacteria dies. That's all. But um, I mean, you can eat fruits and vegetables raw. There's bacteria that lives in you all the time, right? So it really just depends on what kind of bacteria. I think I'm not a bacteria expert, so that's what I've heard though. There's some type of bacteria that stays in you that's supposed to be in there because I mean, we're living beings. You know what I mean? It'd be quite impossible to get rid of bacteria unless it's extreme heat or like vinegar. But yeah, when you cook food, all bacteria is dead. Um, so I mean, I don't know the depths of that statement I made about bacteria being in you all the time, but I know people, eat raw vegetables and raw fruit. So, and some people even eat raw meat, and that's probably a cesspool of bacteria if it wasn't frozen. But that's not to motivate anybody to freeze anything because freezing, I heard, dries out food. Like, yeah, you can thaw something and cook it and it still tastes good, but um, I haven't really tried it side by side, like two of the same, like trying a meat patty from the same package, like a good high quality meat patty, or just get some ground beef, you know, I guess you can freeze a bit of it, and then in 2 hours when it's frozen, you can you can try it after trying the one that's not frozen and see if it's any better. But Burger King, if you don't freeze your food and cook it, like I worked with you for you for one day, so I know you have a conveyor belt uh, oven or conveyor belt, whatever you call it. Okay, and you put the frozen patty on, and it comes out thawed, but or cooked or warmed up or hot. Really, I hope. But funny in this case, hot doesn't really matter because you're recooking something that makes it less nutritious. You know what I mean? So if you just you can even keep the conveyor belt and kind of I don't know, cook from raw because I mean you have a good idea with your types of burgers. I mean you have enormous burgers with bacon, jalapeno, cheese. You have the most amount of variety it seems, and your burgers are big. So right now I think your hurdle is cooking fresh. Find a way to only have your food delivered to you once every 2 days. Like In-N-Out Burger doesn't build a certain distance away from their warehouse, so it doesn't really take you know much more time than this or that to get your supplies. But you know, since you guys have so much variety, you would need specific uh, you know equipment for specific meats because you're not cooking in a restaurant where you're not cooking on a grill where you can just sit there and kind of watch it all the time. You use a conveyor belt thing. Number one. Number two, you don't want to mix chicken juices and beef juices unless specified by the customer because there's a reason. I mean, you don't know if people are allergic to this or that, or they don't like this or they don't like that. You know what I mean? So that's the reason why I would be afraid to use the same grill on many different parts. Like at home, you can do it because you know what you like, and you can ask guests what they like, and if they don't like it, you can freaking start over and do it all up for them. Nobody, you don't got a crowd of 10 people waiting or paying customers. wondering if they should ever return, right? This is, but yeah, Burger King. Freshness, try to figure out a way to cook from raw, and price. So three hurdles. Price, you got to figure out how much each meal costs to hand to the customer before and after labor. So out the door price to when you hand it to the customer from and calculate that price from what you pay an experienced employee who can obviously make these things, and experiently. Like there's people who are really really experienced and really really good, and there's people who are experienced enough to run the place, but they're still learning. You know what I mean? They're good enough to cook everything, but they're still learning, but they can prepare anything on the menu, obviously. So, and your third hurdle is pay. Like, I live in an area where 16.25 an hour doesn't really. I mean, I don't even think there's a room out here for that much that you can get. You'd have to drive from 20 minutes away, where they're already paying $16 an hour, you know, just to be able to afford rent and all that kind of stuff. Unless you got like 4 or 5 people in one apartment, you know what I mean, or like 8 people in one house. Whatever the case is, 16.25. I mean, come on. If you've ever cooked burgers for an hour, or prepared burgers for an hour, or prepared food for an hour, do you really think 16.25 covers it? It doesn't. It seems like you guys don't care about what you pay. You only care about what they do for you. So the more you pay them, the harder they work. Okay, that's one thing about paying people. The more you pay them, the more they do for you. So, yeah, 3 things to think about. Get back to me if you have any questions. Okay, thanks.